Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. It's Untethered Live on a Wednesday night. I'm your host, Jake Johnson, and tonight I'm all roided up and I'm ready to rattle. I got my double dose of steroids. I got my breathing treatment. I got those things and those things and those things, and I'm drugged up to the hilt and I'm ready to rock and roll. How are you doing? It's a wonderful Wednesday. Amanda says, hi, Untethered Live family. Good to see you all. Happy hump day, camel. Hope everyone is doing good. And hi, Jake. How are you tonight? No, sir, I do not. Oh, I thought you were asking if I did steroids. No. Not at all. Amanda says, hey, Facebook page. That's the link to the new Facebook page. That's Untethered Live Chillin'. Untethered Live Chillin' on Facebook. Go check it out. And also, like, subscribe, share, support, join in super chats if you want to. Or CashApp, $ jakejohnsonband. All the things. Just press all the buttons. Amanda says, oh yeah, I'm here. Me too. Apparently. Where's everyone else at, though? That's what I want to know. I am enjoying this nice hot cup of coffee. Interestingly enough, my voice is both stronger and weaker at the same time. The medication that I'm on today has helped. But I still squeak when I talk. Go figure. Aaron's here. What's up, buddy? Nice to see you, my friend. Amanda says, I'm sure they're coming. Well, I hope so. If not, I'm out of business. That would be bad. You guys can look forward to me blowing up. Boom. Amanda says, hello, Aaron, and you get the gold star for being first in chat. Nice. Good job, buddy. How is your day going so far? Mine has been pretty steady. Pretty steady, pretty easy day today. Aaron says, you're throwing stars at me? Duck. Only because you deserve them. Amanda says, and you've had one full dose of meds. They need a couple of days or a couple of times to fully kick in. Oh, I know. I know. It's just going to take a little time, that's all. I do feel strangely copacetic. Aaron says, I worked and ran. Well, that's good. That's good. That's what you need to be doing. Working and running. That's what I do every day and every night. I told somebody today, it's the first time I'd ever said it out loud. I work 5 days a week and I work 5 nights a week. Sometimes 6 or 7. That's a lot of working. I'm pulling down like 80 hours a week. Easy. Aaron says, I mean like run for stress release. Yeah, I got it. Jogging. That's good. And if you want to really get a workout in, jog on the beach. Go find you a beach and run over there in the sand where it's nice and soft. That will wear your ass out. I don't care how tough you are. I don't care if you are whatever his name is, Goggins. Amanda says, I'd make you work every night if I had a choice. LOL. Don't start. Aaron says, yep, I run in the sand with the vest. You know, I hear you. I got you, man. Get that workout in. Get that heart rate up. That's good for you. I wish I was a younger man. I would do that myself. It's too late now, though. Too late to start. I don't really need to work out, though. I'm pretty pumped. But, I mean, for a 50-year-old man, I'm pretty well pretty well in shape. But it would be nice if I actually did something for it. This is just natural. You know, I don't go to the gym or anything like that. So just whatever's natural. Except for that old popping shoulder there. Everything else works pretty good. Aaron says, I catch you in 7 years, right? Well, believe me, that 7 years makes a big difference. You wouldn't think it does, but it does. Big difference. Get off me. Yeah, that 7 years is a whole world of difference in how you feel and how you recover, which is the big thing. I found something I've never had to do in my life, ever. I have never stretched. I've always been a cold start kind of guy. When I go on stage, no warm-up. I just go. And then from 0 to 60, bam, I'm out there. Same thing in my work. I just start and just run all day long. But now, after I've crossed that 50 Rubicon, I'm finding that if I don't stretch, I start locking up. I start having a lot of muscle issues. It's really weird. I've never had to stretch a day in my life. But I do now. Aaron says, I hope I look in good shape. I bet you do. I bet you do. Christine Marshall's here. Hello, Christine. And Debbie says, geez, I'm late. And I walk into Jake saying Amanda makes him horny every night. Well, duh. I didn't say that. Did I say that? Take it how you will. Amanda says, hi, Christine. And hi, Debbie. And LOL, Debbie. And Aaron says, I hit 40 and I was like, what the hell? And I'm the same. I have to warm up, right? Christine says, I need to stretch more. Yeah, if you don't start, it's going to catch you sooner or later. If you don't start doing it like in your 30s, when you hit 50, it's going to catch up to you. Maybe before that, maybe after. Depends on how much, your body's used to working or whatever. But for me, it just came all at one time. Just, oh, yeah, I need to stretch. Aaron says, Amanda, to answer how I'm doing, I think about her a lot, but I keep busy. Keeping busy is the best thing you can do, Aaron. Keep your mind occupied on something strong, something that's, taxing on your brain, and just pour yourself into that work. And I promise that'll help you get through it. Amanda says, that's expected. It will pass. Hugs and heads up. Keep that head up. Aaron says, I can still dunk, so I'm doing all right. I got videos. Yeah, I can't. I never could, though. I am not a sporty guy. Christine says, 39 years, 1985. I was at work in 1985. Wow. And Debbie says, I'm at the age that if I drop an ice cube, I kick it under the fridge. Yeah. Yeah. I'm at that age that, like, when I was younger, I could fall out of the top of a pine tree and hit every branch on the way down and land flat on my back, get the wind knocked out of me, get up and climb the tree again. Now that I'm over 50, if I sneeze the wrong way, I might be out for a few days. That might be the end of that week. Aaron says 1985 is a good year. It is. A lot of good movies came out in 1984 and 85. Christine says, smiley, smiley. Aaron says, LOL, Jake was a cartoon. Yeah. I'm a cartoon in my thumbnail. Did you see it? Amanda says, LOL, Debbie, I called Triple to come get it. Get the ice cube. Yep, sometimes you gotta. Well, I try not to drop the ice cube. Jake the Animated Series. Right on. I've been thinking about a way to pull that off. Maybe AI can help me with it when it gets a little more with it. I've got the character. I just need to animate it. I could tell stories, make up a bunch of nonsense, and do little short animations like Scooby-Doo. That's a lot of work, though. Don't let it fool you. Them animations take a lot of effort. I think it takes like 5 years to do a movie animated. Back in the day, it did anyway. They've probably gotten better at it now, but when you used to have to hand draw everything, it takes forever. Aaron says, trust me, I know. I hear you. Gotta situate my stuff here. Are you an animator? If so, make us a cartoon. That'd be cool. My dream used to be Pixar animator. That's a good job. Or it was a good job. I don't think they exist anymore, but it was a good job. You can, but you don't enjoy it. I hear you. I was quite the artist in my youth, but I had to make a decision. Somewhere along the lines of about 16 or 17, I started thinking about my future, which if I knew then what I know now. But back then I was thinking I need to pick a lane. I can't do everything. So I chose music because it seemed to me the most lucrative and the most easy to attain from where I was at. And I didn't see a lot of opportunity in the art world that wasn't what I wanted to be doing, which was comic books. And I was in the wrong place and I didn't know how to get into the right place. And so any art that I would have been doing would have been on something I didn't care anything about. So I chose to go music, and that meant giving up everything else. So I gave up Kung Fu, and I gave up art, and I gave up sword fighting. And I focused on music and my education. I thought that was the most sensible thing to do. I could use one to pay for the other, which I did. I put myself through college, what time I was there. Aaron says, DreamWorks is Pixar now. Gotcha. Debbie says, I remember turning my school textbooks into flip books. I remember that. With stick figure walking across the bottom of the page. Oh, yeah. You can get quite elaborate with those, too. Aaron says, I used to do that too, Debbie. And Aaron says, Jake would be in Kung Fu movies. Oh, yeah. You wouldn't know it to look at me, but I was quite the badass back in the day. I studied Kung Fu most of my young adulthood. But ultimately, it came down to, this is just for Kung Fu. It's art, right? It's discipline, but what am I ever going to use it for? What's it going to do for my life? Nothing. I'll never even use Kung Fu unless I get into a fight with another person who also does Kung Fu. It's not going to work in our street fight. It's not going to work if somebody pulls a gun on me. So what's the point in spending all this time mastering something I'll never use? Same thing with sword fighting. I'll never get in a sword fight. There's no point in learning how to do this. So I gave it up. And that was many moons ago. But I did study enough to have an understanding of what I was doing. Anyway. Amanda says, LOL. That's what they call it. Sword fighting. Right. Now that's why they call it sword fighting. Aaron says, that's the other movie, Amanda. Oh, I'd do it. I'd be pretty good in a movie. I can act. But, like I said, back then I had no aspirations of that sort of thing. If anything, I would have wanted to be a director, but music just seemed to be the most prevalent thing, so that's what I went for. And spent most of my life doing that, among other things. Amanda says, oh, I see. Aaron says, are you his opponent? LOL. Oh, no. Never hit the hand that feeds you. Debbie says, Amanda, I picture something dirty when I think of a sword fight. So did she about 30 minutes ago. Amanda says, that's what I'm talking about, Debbie. Aaron says, LOL, screaming, hi-ya, the whole time. Karate chop. Amanda says, I'd win, Aaron. He'd give up and let me win. Rule number 347. Never show a woman your full strength. There's no need, and all it will do is scare her. Always pull back. The woman is going to win. Aaron says, Jake is a gentleman. True. Aaron says, 8-ball. Debbie says, 8-ball. Can Aaron sword fight? And 8-ball says, I don't know, Kev. Smiley face. Christine says, I need to change that. Christine says, we have to nick out our 18-year-old son. We have to kick out our 18-year-old son. Talk to you guys later. Well, that's terrible. Good luck, I think. I'm sorry you have to kick your 18-year-old son out, but he should have a job and a place to go. I'm with you there. God bless you, Christine. Aaron says, of course, I can sword fight. Maybe one day I'll do a video and show you my skills. Amanda says, oh no, Christine, sorry. See you later, man. Aaron says, oh, dang. Debbie says, do you have a long sword or a short sword, Aaron? I will let others reply for me. I will simply just say, that's me in the corner. That's me with a sword fight. Poking you in the eye. Okay. Aaron says, but I'm not Diddy fighting for nobody. Amanda says, oh, damn, Debbie. That's too much information. Aaron says, no offense. No offense taken. Aaron says, did you do kendo? No. I did kung fu and specifically the art of bow. You know, like a staff, a quarter bow. And I also did like, trying to explain it. It's like the art of blocking things. In karate, they would call it a kata, or a kata, rather. You know, it's the art of being in the right place at the wrong time or the wrong place at the right time, using someone else's momentum against them, turning their energy into I guess, opposite force. Like whatever energy they expel, I take that energy and turn it back on them. That sort of thing. There's a word for it, but it escapes me at the moment. Kevin says, hello, Jake, Amanda, and everyone. What's up, Kev? Nice to see you, my brother. Come on in. We're talking kung fu. What did you do? Amanda says, hi, Kevin. And Aaron says, I'm with Jake on this one, LOL. And Debbie says, losing my religion. That's a good song, actually. Amanda says, what's a long, fat sword called? It's called a bastard sword. A double-handed bastard sword. That's it. I like your answer there. I said I'll let someone answer for whether or not I have a long or short sword, and she says, what is a long, fat sword called? Good answer. Aaron says, Aikido. Debbie says, a good time. is what it's called, Amanda. Aaron says Aikido means made by two women. I thought it's what you said to your child as you enter a room. Aaron says, did you know the symbol for war in Japanese is two women under one roof? I did not, but that makes total sense. Total and perfect sense. Because putting that roof over those two women is exactly why all wars are fought. In one manner of speaking or not. And Amanda says, great sword. The term great sword refers to a large two-handed sword of the late Middle Ages and Renaissance, which are larger and heavier than typical long swords. Yeah, a bastard sword's bigger than that and double-sided. Two-handed, double-sided, really sharp point, serrated edges, bastard sword. And nodaki, meaning big fat sword or field fat sword, respectively. These were large swords designed to use against cavalry during Kamakura period. Samurai. I always wanted to learn the ways of the samurai, but I was into kung fu. That's what I had available to me, so that's what I did. Plus David Carradine. And now, like Kwai Chang Kang, I roam from town to town solving crimes with my kung fu, and that's pretty much all I do. Amanda says, that's better than two girls, one cup, Aaron. Two girls, one roof, much better. Yes. And Debbie says, Amanda, I still have PTSD over that. Yeah. Aaron says, I've never watched it, but people told me what that video was. Yeah, you don't need to watch that. Trust me when I tell you there's some things you don't need to see, and that's one of them. I'd run away screaming, says Aaron. So would I. Or run away blasting, one or the other. That is not a situation I want to be in. Amanda says, LOL, Debbie. I told you you didn't want to really know. Kevin says, the blue waffle is the one that got me. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Some things you just don't need to see. Like some of that stuff they were putting on YouTube before they got all crazy with the restrictions. You know, some of those beheadings and things overseas in the, you know what countries. You really don't need to see things like that. Whatever, your body is a temple, and whatever you allow into it affects it. And some things that you allow into it won't come out. So always be cautious of what you allow into your brain, because some things root in there and cause problems you cannot foresee. Linda Davis says, hi, everybody, heart. Hi, Linda. How are you, sweet lady? Debbie says, I need some chocolate ice cream now. Me too, but not chocolate. Vanilla with cookies. Yes, I would like to have some ice cream. It feels really good on my throat. My throat is just as raw as if I had sandpaper down there. Amanda says, yuck, Kevin, barf. Right on. Aaron says, anyone remember Many Faces of Death? Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm a movie connoisseur. Naturally, I went into Faces of Death. And also some other movies, like 120 Days of Silo, or I can't think of the little country down there, the mousy country. Means mousy. I can't think of what it is. Anyway, yeah, there's some creepy things out there. Those were not real, by the way. They were presented as real, but they were not real. Cannibal Holocaust was one. I cannot think of the name of that movie. It's not worth it. You don't need to see it anyway. Amanda says, hi, Linda. And LOL, Debbie. Linda says, dinner ran late. We were having too much fun yapping. Hey, that's lovely. Who was we? Who were you having dinner with? I can't wait till we all can have dinner together, even if it's on a Zoom call, which I'm thinking about how to pull that off. Kevin says, some things are difficult to unsee. Correct. And it's better to guard yourself beforehand than to walk into something blindly and then have trauma based on it. Aaron says, I got both chocolate chip cookie dough and I have Rocky Road. I'm not a big fan of Rocky Road. I can't really remember what it tastes like, but I remember I didn't care for it. I'm not big into mint chocolate anyway, although mint chocolate is good at some level. I just don't, it's not a big, I don't enjoy it like I do vanilla ice cream. I think French vanilla or vanilla bean is my favorite. Amanda says, definitely, Kevin. And that's on the top of the list. That one and roast beef. Ew. Come on now. Amanda says, what was for dinner, Linda? We had tacos. It's Taco Wednesday and burritos. I didn't have a burrito. I would have liked to have had a burrito, but I didn't have a burrito. We need to figure out the chili cheese burrito that Taco Bell used to sell but refuses to sell now. I put myself through college eating chili cheese burritos. They were fantastic. It's just cheese and ground beef mixed. I don't think there was any beans in it. I think it was just cheese and beef in a taco. I mean, in a burrito. And man, those things are awesome. We need to figure that out. Linda says, just me and my kids. That's wonderful. That's a wonderful dinner right there. I would give anything to just sit down and have dinner with my kids. Aaron says, some of the worst I've seen are the Amazon documentaries with the lost tribes and they kill a man filming. Oh, yeah, I've seen things like that. Fab Daddy, what's up, buddy? Says barbarians? No, not barbarians. Although, I am a fan of Conan and Red Sonja and things like that, sword and sorcerer movies. There's a place in my heart for those for sure. Amanda says, hi, Fab. And Linda says, meatloaf, dirty potatoes, and peas and corn. Nice. Good meatloaf. It's about meatloaf time. Oh, Rocky Road's just chocolate with almonds? Well, that's why I don't like it, because I don't like almonds. That's it. I thought there was some kind of mint in it or different flavors for some reason. So it's just chocolate ice cream with almonds, huh? And Debbie says, Aaron, I would sword fight you for the chocolate chip, but you can keep the Rocky Roads. I don't like frozen nuts. Aaron says, I had granola cereal. Granola cereal? You know, I like that, what's it called? Honey Bunches of Oats. I like that. And I like the Raisin Bran Crunch with the big clusters in it. That's pretty good, too. Honey Bunches of Oats. That's one of my favorite cereals. Hadn't had any in a long time, though. Amanda says, nice, Linda. I made dirty potatoes for Jake, and he fell in love with them and told me to make them like that from now on. LOL. Do you put mayo in yours? Of course. Who doesn't put mayonnaise in mashed potatoes? That's the secret Southern ingredient. Aaron says, Debbie, bring on the fight. I got lots of ice cream. And apparently a big sword. And Linda says, I put sour cream in mine. Well, there you go. Same difference. also would probably be really good. I hadn't tried that, but that'd probably be really good too. Or even heavy cream would be good. Amanda says, yep, same difference, Linda. See? Amy's here. She says, like, shared, and invited some friends. Hello, Amy. Nice to see you. Amanda says, hi, Amy. Debbie says, we had egg salad sandwiches and chips. Nice. I like egg salad. A little fluffy. I like homemade egg salad. The stuff you buy at the store is like air, and it's just too fluffy. I don't know how they do it, but my eggs are thicker, more egg. But I do like egg salad and chips. Not a huge fan, but it's hot, and the kids like them. Right on. Also, chicken salad is a great snack sandwich. You can make a big bowl of that and just snack on it like a half a piece of bread. Dip a spoonful in, fold it over, and go to town. I sit there and eat the whole bowl like that. Eat half a loaf of bread. Or tuna salad. Same thing. Aaron says, Linda, I might try that. Oh, yeah. Just get you a tablespoon if you make you a bowl of mashed potatoes and just put a big dollop of mayonnaise or sour cream in it. And mix it in real good. You'll never taste it. It don't taste like mayonnaise, but it fluffs up the potatoes in a special kind of way. Aaron says, Linda says, now that most of my kids are older, they really are fun to hang out with. Yep. Now that they're people, they're interesting. I get you. You raise them until they become interesting, and most of the time they're out of here. But every now and then you get lucky and you get to hang out with what you created. It's nice. I'm proud that you have that. Amanda says, that's good too, Debbie. Aaron says, Dimples is here. Yes, she is. How you doing there, Amy? Amy says, I try to eat a lot of life cereal. That way when I die, people say, she was so full of life. I'm with you. Amanda says, a lot of people don't put mayo or sour cream in their potatoes. Jake, you'd be surprised. Well, I said that was a secret Southern sauce, meaning that dumb people don't know about it. Amy says, hi, y'all. Pardon me, I'm a little extra coffee tonight because I did a breathing treatment and it seems to be working. My voice is way stronger and getting stronger as we talk. Amanda says, LOL, Jake, have you tried it? Or you have tried it, you just didn't know it. Oh, no, I know. I'm not a moron. I've tried it. I know I've tried it. I've eaten at people's houses that didn't know the secret. But most of the time, if you have nice and fluffy whipped potatoes, they got something in them. Debbie says the only thing that was really good was the freshly baked bread from the bakery. Nice. What kind of bread? Just regular bread or like something special? I'd really like to get my hands on some banana nut bread or something, or whatever you call it. You know what I'm talking about. Or zucchini. I don't know what it's made out of, but it's delicious. It's like cake, but it's bread. Good. Aaron says, you must go to a lot of gas stations, Amy, because you're full of love. I don't get it. You must go to a lot of gas stations because you're full of love. Is that a gas station brand? That would make sense. Amy says, I put ranch dressing in place of butter in my mashed potatoes. I love truck stop. Got it. That's interesting. I don't know how that would taste, but that's interesting. Ranch is good. That's my preferred salad dressing, but I've never tried it in potatoes before. I'll give it a shot. Kevin says, Debbie, nothing better than fresh bread. I used to work at a place called Country Hearth when I was a teenager. And that's what they do is they make like buns and different bread products and loaf bread and just whatever. They might even make like honey buns or whatever. I'm not sure, but I can't remember. But it's a big factory. Take 30 minutes just to walk to my station, you know. But as soon as I pulled over the hill coming to work, I'd start smelling that bread. And that was the best part of my day was coming over that hill and just, oh, it's such a good, man. Make you hungry, make your mouth water, make you want to work. So you could get in there and grab a piece of bread off the line and munch on it while it's going. Oh, yeah. I think I gained 30 pounds while I worked there. Amanda says, I've used the ranch seasoning in my potato salad, but not mashed. The seasoning, you know, like you sprinkle on Chex Mix or whatever. My boss does that thing. He'll get like bugles and those little oyster crackers and pretzels, and then those little, like a Cheez-It cracker, but it's not cheese, it's just the shape of a Cheez-It. And then he'll sprinkle that ranch mix on it and makes like a trail mix, but with those things. It's different. I don't really know why you would want to munch on something like that unless you were drinking beer, but that seems to me like something that'd be on a bar like nuts, you know. But, hey, he likes it. Debbie says, that's right, Kevin. Just a tad of egg salad because I just wanted the bread, huh? Linda says, Kevin, my kids are fighting over who was going to take the leftover bread I made to work. Who's going to take the leftover bread I made to work with them for lunch? Right on. Must be nice to have freshly baked bread. Hint, hint, hint. Kevin says, LOL, Debbie. Amanda says, LOL, Linda. Kevin says, Linda, nice. And Aaron says, see, Linda, you felt lonely, and now you got to make bread for somebody. The Lord works, doesn't he? Or at least he pays attention. Amanda says, well, I've used sour cream and mashed potatoes before. Mm-hmm. Debbie says, it was freshly baked Italian bread. Nice. So it was like regular bread. It just had an accent. Got it. You know what a light year is? It's the same thing as a regular year. It just has less calories. Aaron says, yeah, I love gas stations. I got it now. I have seen those before on the interstate. We don't have them around here. That's the only reason I had to think about it for a minute. Amanda says, he smelled like bread when he come home from work. I did. Oh, you talking about when I worked at Country Hearth? I got you. That's a strong smell. A good smell, but a strong one. Aaron says, I like that Italian herbs and cheese bread. Yeah, like at Subway. That's what I get every time I get from Subway. Kevin says, Jake, I had a bakery a few blocks from my house, and I love the smell of it when coming home from work at night. Yes, that's exactly the sensation I had going to work every morning. It's fantastic. You never get tired of it either. It smells that good every day. Linda says, Aaron, there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. I am rarely alone, but I still get lonely. The human touch is missing. I hear you, sweetheart. Yeah, you can be in a crowded room and be alone. Well, I'd touch you if you were close, but here. That's the best I can do for you. But I love you. A big old hug. Amy says, I've never heard of Love Gas Station. Sorry, I'm at work trying to finish up. Yeah, it's a chain in the East Coast. I don't know if they go out west or not, but I know it's an East Coast thing. Like starting at about South Carolina up. I don't know if they have them in Florida or not. They probably do. Well, Aaron said it, so he probably knows. But they're like a everything gas station. It's almost like a truck stop. I guess it is a truck stop. You know those gas stations where you can buy hats and CB radios and toys and boots all in the same place, you know? And then they got showers in the back. It's that kind of gas station. Aaron says, I know that all too well, Linda. I'm so sorry. Or I'm sorry. Aaron says, they're in the South only, Amy. We have them in Florida. Okay, you do have them in Florida. I thought Circle K was just a Florida thing, but they got them up here too. They're just not in every town, but every now and then you'll see one if you're like going from one town to another. They're out there on the outskirts. Amanda says, LOL, yep. It must be nice to have fresh baked bread. I guess I'm going to have to bake some then, huh? Miss Thang. Aaron says, Linda, sometimes you just need a hug, like a really pull you in kind of hug. Yeah, big two-hander. Linda says, exactly, Aaron. Aaron says, I used to work at Aunt Millie's bakery. Nice. And I need one too, Linda. Well, I don't know how to solve that problem other than to just tell you that in my heart, I'm hugging all of you. Soph is here. Hey, Soph. Soph says, hi, guys. How is it in Australia there? Aaron says, disco, Soph. And Amanda says, hi, Soph. Kevin says, hello, Soph. And Linda says, hi, Soph. Aaron says, Polk County has a loves. I don't stop. It's a bad area for me. Right on. I'm from Polk County. Polk County, Florida. They did not have a loves when I lived there, though. That's a big county, too. It covers a lot of different towns. Sorry. Yeah, get that down. Soph says, yes, disco tomorrow night, Aaron. And hi, Linda. How are you? How are all you guys? Well, we're fantastic, Soph. Nice to see you. Aaron says, get your groove on, girl. And Amanda says, LOL, Aaron. That's where I'm from, Polk County, Lakeland, Florida. Soph says, hello, Kevin. And Aaron says, you guys are nice, but most Polk is not, and Plant City. Right on. But look, we don't live there for a reason. And it wasn't always like it is right now. Believe it or not, many moons ago, it was quite a different town. Or quite a different area. Soph says, how are you, Jake? I am fantastic, Soph. My voice is strong, and I'm living it up. Thanks for asking. Amanda says, Plant City is Hillsborough County. Is it? I can't remember. It's been many years. Amanda says, Polk County is the meth capital of the world. Or it used to be, till old Grady Judd cracked down on it hard. Right. Only sheriff I've ever heard of that has his own bobblehead doll. He is popular. I need to get a bobblehead doll. I'm kind of jealous. A jakey head doll. That's what I need, a jakey head doll. Press on it, it goes, release the Kraken. Aaron says, it's a real life sundown town. Now I learned the hard way. Right on. Amanda says, oh yeah, Polk County is popping after midnight. I'm glad I left that place. Amy says, I disagree. Every state has drug issues. Nobody said they didn't. She said it's the meth capital of the world, and it is, or it was. But that don't mean it ain't in other places. It is the place. That's where it goes. It goes to Lakeland and then gets dispersed. So Fallon says, I have some very exciting news. I went to school yesterday. Today is Thursday, the 24th of July. So yesterday was the 23rd. That's how months work. July. And I went to school for the first time for work. That's very exciting. And news. But you stumped me on the 23 and 24 thing. I did not see that coming. Angela says, hello all. Hello, Angela. Amanda says, I'm glad I'm out of there, too. Yeah, that's a bad place to live. Ain't nothing but trouble there. I have zero, and I mean zero, desire to go back to Florida in any way, shape, or form for that very reason, because it's nothing but trouble. Now, I'm sure there's good places in Florida, but where I'm from, the places that I know, there ain't nothing there for me. I'll stay out here in the country, keep my ass out of trouble. If I lived in Lakeland, Florida right now, I'd be in prison. I'm sure of it. Amanda says, hi, Angela. Kevin says, hello, Angela. And Amy says, glad you made it, Angel. Me too. And Linda says, hi, Angel. Angel says, hello, Amanda, and thank you, Amy, for the invite. And Kevin says, hello, Amy. And Aaron says, Chicago's like that for me. Oh, yeah, Chicago's a pretty rough place, too. I had to drive through there not too long ago. Well, it's been about 5 years, but that's the first time in recent memory that I was actually concerned about driving through an area. It's kind of a dangerous place. Never know what'll happen in Chicago. Angel says, hello, Linda. And Amy says, hi, Kevin. Angel says, hello, Kevin. And Rich S. is here. He says, I'm looking for nice feet. Any here besides Amanda? Soph says, I did photocopying. I did paper shredding. And then I had to take the bins to different classrooms and put the paper in the bin. And then all the way back. Well, that is fantastic, Soph. You keep it up, you'll be a professional in no time. Ladina says, hi. Hey, Ladina. Welcome back. How are you? Amanda says, hi, Rich. And hi, Rich. I don't know if I said that or not. Hi. Aaron says, yep, red lights don't stop. Go through it. Right on. You stop at the red light, and when it turns green, your car will be on blocks. Amanda says, hi, Ladina. And Linda says, hi, Rich. Amy says, glad you made it, Ladina. Angel says, many from Chicago have moved to Fort Wayne in the last few years. Chicagoans and illegals are filling my city. I hear you. Is that Indiana, Fort Wayne? Fort Wayne, Indiana. That sounds right. Kevin says, hello, Ladina. And Debbie says, swooning again. Damn, Jake. I'm not sure I can take much more. Rich S says, my gal, Soph, I'm glad you had a good first day. Me too. Kevin says, hello, Rich. And Rich says, hey, Kev. Amanda says, LOL, Debbie. Do you need more pictures? I'm pretty sure I can get a heel in there. Maybe an arch. Ooh. Have my heel all arched up like I'm backing it up. Oh, yeah. Back that heel up, Jake. Angela says, yep, Indiana. Northwestern Indiana. Nice. Amy says, sorry, Rich. You'll have to remain defeated. Defeated. At least you won't need shoes. Aaron says, Chicago has been like that, Angel. I grew up in the hood. They have whole neighborhoods for immigrants. I know, right? Ladina says, on the mend again. Bronchitis is back. I got meds from the doctor. Me too, Ladina. I took a course of steroids today and a breathing treatment. And my voice is stronger than it has been in, months, actually. So I'm actually looking forward to doing this on a regular basis. See how it goes. I feel a little strange, but my voice is strong, so I'll take it. And Amanda says, get you some ninnies pictures. No, I can't be sending pictures of my ninnies. Debbie says, no, Amanda, I'll screenshot the show. Ha. Amanda says, LOL, Debbie. And Debbie says, ninnies. Now I'm going to have to check couch cushions again. Good gracious, don't hurt yourself, honey. If I got it, it's yours. Aaron says, let the swooning begin. And Amanda says, LOL, Debbie. And Debbie says, I'm drooling now. Aaron says, what's ninnies? Ninnies. Angela says, I live in the Northwest Woods area of Fort Wayne, north of all the chaos. That's at least you're up above it. Get out of that area. And Amanda says, nipples, Aaron. Nipples are ninnies. Aaron says, oh, right. I got you. I hear you. I see what you're saying now. Nanny. Well, I got to tell you, Ladina says it does sound better on steroids too, and antibiotics and Mucinex. Yep. Along with my other meds. I hope my liver holds out, right? Yeah, I'm on a bunch of stuff too, including the Mucinex. That's the good stuff. And lots of other little things for, not breathing, but like expectorant stuff and things like that. Anti-expectorant, however you say that. Trying to get that stuff up out of my chest. And Debbie says, Aaron, ninnies are weapons of mass distraction. Right on. Especially if they're in a perfectly rounded ninny capacitor. Ladina says, yep. I'm not on antibiotics, though, but I did take a round of steroids. The, prednisone, right on the tip of my tongue. Couldn't get it out. Prednisone. And then the albuterol breathing treatment. That seemed to help a lot. Angela says, are your allergies causing it, Jake? No, ma'am. No, I got COVID back when it first got started, before it actually broke out, while they were still talking about it on the news, but they thought it was in China, but it was already here. Only I didn't know at the time that that's what it was. And I thought I had cancer. I just started getting lightheaded and wheezing, and I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't talk, and my energy was gone, and I felt sick, like something was broke inside of me. It was not good. It felt like I had a foreign agent trying to destroy me from the inside. And one of the side effects was it damaged my vocal cords. And as I got sicker and sicker, and I was sick for like 5 months, I lost my voice completely. And it took me a long time to get it back. And then about a year later, I got COVID a second time and lost my voice again, and it took me a very long time to get it back. And then a year after that, the third year going into it, I just started losing my voice for no reason. I wasn't sick. It just went away. And then it just stayed gone. And I haven't had it back since. So I've had to figure out how to change all of the things that I do to where I can still do it and not have to sing and not have to talk so much and that sort of thing. Basically, this is probably some kind of reaction to COPD, because I'm pretty sure I have that. And whatever it is, it's gunking up my vocal cords, and it's like I'm being strangled. I can breathe just fine. I have no trouble breathing. I can hold my breath for a long time. That's not the issue. But when I talk, it's like I got to push out 3 times as much air to make noise, right? And it's getting harder and harder. So it's not actually an allergy thing, but I don't actually know what's causing it. It's just something to do with my vocal cords. Maybe that helps. I don't know. Aaron says, mass distraction, double meaning. Right. Clever. Nice. Angela says, dang, Jake, I'm sorry. I never had COVID. I hope you never do. It's not that bad. I could have done without the losing my voice part, but the rest of it was easy. Aaron says, COVID killed my cousin. It's no joke. Yeah, it can be. It can be serious, is what I meant to say. You know what I meant. Linda says, somehow I have 7 kids in the house, and they all got COVID one after another, and yet I never caught it. It's a killer immune system you got, probably from raising 7 kids. I know I had 2 kids, and I stayed sick. They'd bring something home every week, seemed like. Angela says, I think I'm one of those that is immune. You might be. That is a thing. That with every disease, there's a certain amount of the population, however small it might be, that is immune to it. But this particular disease was manufactured, so if you are immune to it, you are lucky. Aaron says, she was over it, sent home, went to sleep, and died. It was weird. She was the same age as me. That's terrible. Yeah, the problem with that disease is what comes after it. The disease itself is just a cold. You're just sick. But your body goes into a kind of response because of what that disease is and how it functions, and it over responds. And you get what's called a cytokine storm. And then you got other things that happen, like there's a certain amount of people that produce long tendril-like blood clots. There was an overabundance of those showing up in morgues, and morticians saying they'd never seen anything like it. Just everybody all of a sudden had these long white strands in their bloodstream. And it's because your body's overreacting to this foreign thing that's in it. Some people would have like myocarditis, or they'd produce blood clots in their brain. Just different things that the body was doing because it didn't know how to react to this thing that isn't natural. And that's what killed a lot of people. Ladina says, sad. I'm sorry for your loss, Aaron. Me too. Debbie says, I never got COVID either. Well, thank God y'all didn't, and I hope you never do. Angela says, yep. I think maybe my blood type actually kept me from getting it. I know one thing. This helps smoking. Apparently, smoking causes COVID to not produce cytokine storms. So it's actually healthier for you if you smoke, which is funny to me. Aaron says, thank you, Ladina. The sad part is she's wrapped the body. The sad part is they wrapped the body, and you could bury it. My aunt couldn't even hold her. Oh, I see, because she had COVID. They kept it separate from everybody. Yeah. A lot of people couldn't get in to see their elder parents when they died and things like that. It's really bad. The way they handled it was really bad. But again, I'm not a doctor. Don't listen to me. I have to say that because YouTube doesn't like talking about it. Just know that do whatever your doctor says to do. And listen to the CDC. They know all the answers. Amanda says, I don't know, Angela. We got the same blood type, and I got it twice. No. How do you know what her blood type is? That's weird. Aaron says, that's because goblin sharks don't get COVID. Right on. Amanda says, LOL, Aaron. Now you getting it. Debbie says, that's true, Aaron. Angela says, well then, maybe smoking cigs and Mary Jane helped me. Probably. Linda says, my eldest son called it 3 times. It was bad because he's a cop and they were so short on officers that he couldn't even quarantine the full time. Right on. I had it 3 times, and each time it was easier than the last time. The first time it was terrible. Like I said, I was sick for 5 months. I never got rid of it. But the next time it was only 3 days, and the time after that it was only 3 days. But the second time I got a really bad headache and that fever ache that you get, and it was really bad. The third time it was just like I had the sniffles. It wasn't bad at all. So apparently I built up an immunity to it over time. Angela says, I'm O negative, almost null, because I have almost no antigens in my blood at all. That's scary. You need to go out and touch some dirt and get some immunities. Just walk around for a month or two, put everything you see in your mouth. Amanda says, LOL, because we were all talking about it one night, Jake. Oh, okay. And you remember that? I don't even remember what we were talking about 5 minutes ago. It was those gummies, says Angela. I knew they were good for something. Angela says, I touch dirt every day. I never wear shoes. Right on. I never don't wear shoes. I remember the day it happened to me. I was 14 years old. I used to run barefooted everywhere I went. I think I knew what a pair of shoes was up until I was like 13. But I was laying out in the yard looking at the clouds going overhead. I was laying in the grass up by the ditch by the road where I lived. And it was a big, lush green front yard, real thick Florida grass. And I was lying there and just in the cool of the day, just lazing in the sun and watching the clouds go by. It's very peaceful. And I heard this sound out of my ear. And I turned and I looked, and there was grass. And as my eyes focused, I noticed things were crawling in the grass. And I looked a little sharper, and there were bugs everywhere, just crittling and crawling all over. And I jumped up off the ground. I ran inside and took a shower, and I've never walked barefooted again since. It ruined me. There's things out there that you're not aware of. And every time you step, you could be stepping in dead people or poo-poo or any number of things. Amanda says, I remember lots, Jake. Me too, just not immediately. Aaron says, put everything you see in your mouth. Ha ha. I'm thinking, Aaron. Ladina says, blood has a less chance of getting COVID. Interesting. The fire ants didn't get you. They weren't fire ants. I don't know what they were. I didn't know a lot about bugs in those days. I just know that they were everywhere. And they're just crawling everywhere. It's like a whole village just under the surface of the beautiful green grass. There's life everywhere. And I didn't know what they were. I just knew I did not want to be laying in it. It grossed me out, is what I'm saying. ticked one of those obsessive compulsive things in my brain, and now I can't step on the dirt without thinking about that sort of thing. So I just wear shoes or socks or something. And Jake said, poo-poo, said what it is. Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing today? I did say poo-poo. Poo-poo. Amanda says, hi, what it is? Aaron says, in the desert, they had camel spiders. I have nightmares still. I've seen those before. Those are creepy. What it is says, great. Angela says, so bugs and spiders don't talk to you? Nope. Mm-mm. Do they talk to you? Kevin says, hello, what it is? Amy says, I'm back. I was talking to the third shift boss. I didn't know you left. It's amazing. Amanda says, LOL. Well, Aaron, that's probably better than camel toes. No, it's not. The old moose knuckles way better. Whew. Aaron says, I woke up with one the size of a dinner plate in the tank. That's terrifying. And they got those mandibles or whatever you call them. Those are gross. Ugh. I'm a man and all, but me and spiders do not mix. What it is says, hello, Amanda, and to all. How you doing? Are you having a good day, sir? Amy says, hi, what it is? And Rich S says, my blood type is A+. Same as I am good in bed. I don't think that's how that works, Rich, but A+. Amy says, Rich, congealed and crusty. Ugh. Aaron says, I emptied a magazine. Oh, I bet you did. Those things are terrifying. Debbie says, I remember catching lightning bugs and pulling their lights off and sticking it on my skin. Oh, yeah. Two things. Number one, you were rubbing guts all over you. And number two, that fluorescent is radioactive to some degree. It can't be good for you. Phosphorus, that's what I was trying to think. Phosphorus is radioactive to some degree. Linda Davis says, hi, Rich. Angela says, oh, I have complete in-depth conversations with them. In my imagination, anyway. I am my own entertainment most of the time. Me too. I hear you. I don't quite talk to bugs, though, but I understand the compulsion. What it says, hello, Kevin and Amy. Amanda says, I want a tarantula. You want one hand and shit in the other one. See which one gets full faster. What it is says, my blood type looks red. Mine too. Rich says, that's how I remember my blood type when Nurse Amber Lynn asks me. Amber Lynn, I hear you. A+. Oh, I'm trying to think of a name, but I can't think of it right off the top of my Ashlyn Gear. Better. Amber Lynn, yes. Ashlyn Gear, oh yeah. Ladina says, I want a tarantula too. Well, you girls can have one. I'll move. Aaron says, that had those two, Amy. Sorry, that had those two, Amanda. They used to eat them. Eat tarantulas? Gross. I don't even want to look at one. Kevin says, you tell her, Jake. I know, right? I am not living in this house with a spider the size of my hand. I will kill everything. Amy says, Ladina, makes sense because you have those giant rats. I mean, chinchillas. Is it true that you can't get a chinchilla wet or it'll mold? I heard that somewhere. I don't know if it's true or not. If so, what a useless animal. Debbie says, those lightning bugs saved me from getting COVID, probably. Probably. Or maybe you can shoot webs out of your toes. Who knows? Amanda says, Jake takes all the fun out of my critters. I took pictures of a caterpillar today. You can have a caterpillar. That's fine. No spiders. No snakes. No lizards. No little dogs. Aaron says, hey, Debbie, no pants. No. Aaron says, no, Debbie, it was the no pants. That helped you with COVID. Amanda says, Ashlyn Gear. I remember her. I told you I remembered everything. Angela says, oh, Amanda. And Debbie says, you be right, Aaron. Chinchillas are cool, says Amanda. Yeah, they are kind of cool, but what's the difference between a chinchilla and a guinea pig? What it is, is it wrong to have desire? Is that the same as intentions? No. Are you asking religiously, or like biblically? Is it wrong? No. Lust is lascivious intent. Fornication is having sex with lascivious intent. It is not having sex, period. It's having sex with lascivious intent. That's fornication. To have sex out of wedlock is fornication. If you love the person you're with and you want to have sex, but be commitment minded. Don't be just throwing it all over the place. If you see a beautiful woman, it's all right to admire her beauty. It's all right to imagine what it's like to be with her. It is not all right to be jealous of who has her, or to step in the way of who has her to try and gain her, or to make advances towards someone that you know is taken. See the difference? It's all right to admire beauty. God knew what he was doing when he created the world, and women might be his best creation ever, or his worst. I don't know which. But no, you're fine. Just don't do bad things. Amanda says, they bathe in the sand, Jake. And yes, they will mold. Useless. How did they keep from doing that in the wild? It rains. Do they know when it rains? Do they have umbrellas? Ladina says, it takes a long time for them to dry because their fur is so dense. Interesting. Amy says, chinchillas are cute and soft and apparently moldy. Aaron says, do they stink? Probably. They are wild animals. Rich says, Ashlyn Gear's 65, Jake. Hasn't she always been 65? I did not realize she was 65. She was not when I saw her. I'm pretty sure Amber Lynn is on up there too. Wow, 65, huh? God, I'm old. Amanda says, they smell like a rodent, Aaron. So yes, they stink. Kevin says, I'm going to call it early night. Good night, everybody. Kevin, God bless you, sir. Thank you for being here. We love you. I'm sorry if you don't feel good or if you got things to do. We enjoyed having you here. We'll see you next time. Sleep well, my friend. Amanda says, keep their house clean and it keeps the odors down. Well, ain't that the way that it used to be? Angela says, good night, Kevin. And Linda says, good night, Kev. Debbie says, I don't like spiders and snakes. Well, that's not what it takes to love me. I don't like spiders and snakes, but that's not what it takes to love me. It takes not liking spiders and snakes to love you? I hear you. Amanda says, good night, Kevin. Amy says, at first, I thought they were strange bunnies when I saw Ladina's chinchillas. Strange bunnies. Yeah, they do hop, don't they? Aaron says, some of them smell like milk. I think I remember somebody saying something like that now that you mention it. Debbie says, good night, Kevin. Amy said, I read that one. Aaron said, I read that one. Debbie says, I read that one. What it is says, where did the word sex come from? That's a good question. Obviously, it came from Latin or something. I don't really know. Amy says, good night, Kevin. And Amanda says, I don't know about that, Aaron. Could be the bedding stuff you smell. Could be. Or it could be rodents stink. Ladina says, I'm allergic to guinea pigs. Chinchillas are more hyperallergenic. I can see that because of the thin fur. They don't molt like other animals do. It's a mystery, that word sex, says what it is. Well, it ain't that big a mystery, I'll tell you. It's in the chat already. You got it already? Yeah. Okay. I was just about to look it up for you, but it's down there. Aaron says, sex comes from sexus, meaning gender. There you go. It's a shorthand for putting the square peg in the round hole. Aaron says, that's too easy. Yep. Amy says, I don't know what it is. In the Bible, they say came into. Or to know. Amanda says, 65. Jake, well, we were teenagers, and she was in her 20s at least then. So, yeah, makes sense. Talking about Ashland gear. Yeah, I know, right? Hard to believe that time moved for everybody. Aaron says, nope. Gerbils smell like milk, too. April Rain's here. She says, hello, everybody. Hey, April. How are you, sweet lady? Amanda says, hi, April. Aaron said, Amy says, Aaron, some gerbils smell like shit, depending on the fetishes of the owners. If it's a Richard Gere gerbil, definitely smells like shit. Or paper towel rolls. April says, that's a song. What's a song? Amanda says, the word sex in English comes from the Latin. I told you, the Latin word sexus, which originally meant gender or the state of being, male or female. Which is binary, by the way. And apparently we just used the word sex in place of the word ficken, which is where the word fuck comes from, which means to move back and forth in Sweden. You're welcome. Amy Elizabeth says, hi, April. Whipmaster Hart's here. What's up, my friend? Long time no see. How you doing there? You lost your date tag, I see. Whipmaster says, glad to hear your voice ain't dead. Or it ain't died in you, Mr. Jake. How is everyone? Thank you, Whipmaster. I took a big dose of medication today. I took a breathing treatment of albuterol and a big dose of steroids, prednisone, and a Mucinex, and a handful of goody powders, and a couple of Zen tablets, and anything else I could cram in my face. And it seems to be working. Thank you for noticing. Amanda says, hi, Whip. How you been doing, sir? What you been up to? Amy says, hi, Whip. Long time no see. And Linda says, hi, Whip. What it is says, so to have sex, is that like magnets coming together? Could be, yeah. Amanda says, yes, Amy, true. Need to clean their cages better. Ladina says, they don't stink. Their poo doesn't even smell. April says, hi, Amy and Amanda, Aaron, Whip, Linda, much love. Hi, what it is. And Aaron says, 2 gerbils, 1 cage, Amy. Enough said. 2 gerbils, 1 cage. Nice. Whipmaster says, Miss Amanda, Miss Amy, wave your hands. Amy says, LOL, not what I was referring to, Amanda. Ever see the episode of Family Feud? I'll find it for you. Amanda says, LOL, Aaron. And Whip says, glad to see y'all all on here. Glad to see you too, Whip. Hope you're doing well, sir. Aaron says, what it is depends on the magnetic charge. Some magnets push. Some girls like that. So, I say we're all freaky magnets. And it's a magnetic universe, so let's get funky. Sorry. I don't know where my brain's at. Must be the steroids. Whipmaster says, Miss Linda. I meant. Amy says, the question was something you have to get removed at a hospital. The lady signs in and answers, gerbils. Yeah. I knew what you were talking about. I've heard the Richard Gere story. Which is Ashlyn Gere's brother, by the way, and now that makes perfect sense. Because what she was doing wasn't dissimilar. April says, LOL. And Amy says, ding, 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 ding. Debbie says, the spiders and snakes comment was a song lyric by Jim Stafford, song by that name. Gotcha. Understood. That makes what April said make sense. April says, I'm all right, hon. What about yourself, Jake, and all? I'm doing fantastic. I can talk. Look, it's above whisper. That's something. That's not nothing. I'm still squeaking, but I have sound, not just vibration. Kind of excited about that. After one treatment, I see results. That's different. Aaron says, hi, April. April says, I don't like spiders and snakes. Me neither. Linda says, good to see you, April, heart. April says, Debbie. Jake's chat's about to jump. April says, Debbie, hun, hugs, good to see you. And to you, Linda, heart. Aaron says, so move back and forth and weep would be cleaning. To move back and forth and sweep would be cleaning. Yes. No, to move back and forth like to rock a trailer. What do you call that thing that you pull behind a horse? You know what I'm talking about. Carriage. To rock a carriage back and forth. Like if it's stuck on a rock and you move it back and forth. That word is fickin', and that's where we get the word fuck from. Because it's roughly the same motion. It's true, look it up. And that word fickin' is Swedish. Aaron says, LOL. So I'll ask if she wants to clean with me. Do a little sweeping, baby. April says, hi, Rich, and whoever else I missed. Good to see you all. Well, hello, April. How are you doing this fine evening? And Aaron says, I saw your face, April. Amy says, play that funky music, white boy. If I had a guitar handy, I would. Y'all, I can't tell you how excited I am to hear my voice. After one treatment, that's progress. If it continues like that, I may have my voice back in a week or two. That makes me happy. Very. April says, nice. Linda says, there's an old joke about doing laundry, and the punchline is he did it himself. It was a small load. Right? What it is, says Jake, we're not jumping in piles and having an orgy. Why are we? What are you asking me what it is? We're not jumping in a pile and having an orgy. Is that an option? Are we negotiating? What's going on? You asked me if liking what you look was a bad thing. It's not. Rich says, I remember Ray Stevens singing that song. The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church in Pascagoula. Amy says, LOL, Linda. And April says, ha, 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 smiley face. Ladina says, nice. I didn't know you had a Facebook page. I do. It is Untethered Live Chillin' on Facebook. Go check it out. The ladies post a lot of great memes over there, and it's a really nice place to get to know one another and share pictures, text, videos, and chats, and just be outside of YouTube together. Facebook.com/UntetheredLiveChillin'. The link is in the chat somewhere. April says, hi, Ladina, good to see you. Well, that's the old Facebook page, which I'm assuming is still functional, but you can go to that one too. You need to put a link on the old Facebook page to the new Facebook page, Amanda, if that's possible. Or pin a statement or something at the top of that page where it'll direct them over. And I need to remember to go in and change the robot. There is 2 Facebook pages, Ladina. Yep, Facebook. The first one is Untethered Live Family, and the second one is Untethered Live Chillin'. And there's the link to the second one, the newest one. Angela says, I have only found one Facebook page, and the one I found has no place to put pictures. Heart. That must be the old one. Check out the new one. That's the link right above you there. And that'll take you to the new one, and you can post anything you want there. I think the first one we set up in a different way, or something was wrong with it, and it wouldn't allow anybody to post to it. And we could never figure out why, so we just created a new one. I guess we need to delete that one, huh? Oh. The first one is just a Bible study page, and the other one is our community page, Ladina. Got it. So that's how you're doing it. Okay. April says, yay, amen. Jake, I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm not feeling better, but I do have a voice. And I'll take that. I don't care about feeling bad. I can talk. That's something. I'm not squeaking. That's beautiful. Amy says, Angel and Ladina, I'll tag you later. Tag you later. Amanda says, hold on. Amanda says, I just posted the other one's link, Angela. And what it is says, what about heavy petting? Can that lead to thickening? Well, yes. Are you being silly? Of course it can. It can also lead to throbbing and all various manner of leakage. And the occasional zipper burn. April says, Angela, good to see you, lovely. Heart. And LOL, what it is. And Angela says, hello, April. Aaron says, or putting a broom in the closet, what it is. Do that ficking in the closet with the broom. Get all the cobwebs down. I don't have any idea what I'm talking about. I'm delirious. And out of coffee. Ladina says, nice. I almost have my whole voice back. I just can't sing in my higher register yet. Me too, Ladina. Me too. I can't sing in the lower register right now, but I can talk. That's something. Stay with those steroids. They help. And get you some albuterol breathing treatment if you can get it. I mean, one treatment and I can see a difference. Before, I couldn't even breathe hardly when I talked. It was like I had pressure on my chest. After, it took about an hour, but it's kicking in. I have a little bit of a strange sensation. I feel a little bit unusual, but I can talk. And I'm not struggling to breathe while I'm talking. And Amanda says, well, some of us already don't have pants on. I'm one of them. Ladina says, I like the Facebook page. Thank you. Aaron says, true, Amanda. And I'm the president of the No Pants Club. Ladina says, hi, April. And Amanda says, I will pin a link tonight. On the old Facebook page. Yeah. Pin a link to the new Facebook page. So if anybody goes and finds that one, they can find the other one. Amanda says, link. I got it. I figured it out. Amy says, I tagged you both on the chilling page, Angela and Ladina. Nice. Thank you, Amy. How's your studying going? Are you any further along in your Old Testament? Aaron says, Ladina Simmons sounds like a fancy place or designer brand. It's a compliment. Ladina says, liked both. Thank you, Ladina. Belly button lint. Right? You know, if you save that, you can weave an Indian blanket after a while. Amanda says, accepted, Ladina. Welcome to the page. Post anything you like. Amy says, you have to send a friend request to the new page. Okay. I didn't know that. And Ladina says, thanks, Amy. And what it is says, I like to move it. I like to move it. I like to move it. Amy says, Aaron, Ladina's a great friend of mine, too. I've known her a long time. Well, she's a friend of yours. She's a friend of mine. Welcome, Ladina. Angela says, Amy, you're bringing all your friends to here. That's the way it's supposed to work. If all of you did that, we'd be so big I wouldn't be able to contain it. Jake said, leakage. You're just having a good old time tonight, ain't you? What it is. Amy says, plus, I'm taller than her. I hear you. You go, girl. Aaron says, knock the dust off it, Jake. Aaron says, a friend of yours is family automatically. Amy, you're a gem. Amen. Amy says, I try, Angel. And Aaron says, hey, you're a gem. Thank you. Amy says, oh, thanks, Aaron. I agree. Rich says, oh, shizagam all right. Oh, she's a gem all right. Oh, shizagam all right. Aaron says, you're welcome. Cowboys 8 panel, hello. She says, She drinks tequila. He talks dirty in Spanish. The party's on now. How you doing, Cowboys 8 panel? Nice to see you. I hope you're doing well out there in the big old world. Amy says, hey, cowboy. Angela says, Madagascar. I like to move it, move it. My daughter, she was in a car seat, so she was under 2 years old. She might have been a year, 6 months old, something like that. Cute little fat cheeks, just the prettiest thing you've ever seen in your life. And she was in the back seat riding along, and I was trying to appease her. She was having a little, tantrum. And I started singing that, I like to move it, move it. And she goes, I don't want to move it, move it. It's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. I said, I like to move it, move it. I don't want to move it, move it. So funny. I miss those days. I don't want to move it, she said. Linda says, hi, Cowboys. Good to see you. Cowboy says, hi, Amy Elizabeth and all. Hello back at you. Angela says, hey, Cowboy. Amanda says, hi, Cowboys. And Amanda says, I like that movie, Madagascar. I did too. That was some of the last good animation movies they made. The modern ones are garbage. Ladina says, Amy is the best. She always puts a smile on my face, even when I'm down. Love you, girl. She is good at putting a smile on your face. Very, very quick wit, great humor, wonderful person. I'm lucky to have her around. Cowboys 8 pounds says, doing just fine. Thanks, Jake. I'm glad to hear it. Me too. Amanda says, I like Surf's Up too. I don't think I've seen that one. Aaron says, I second that, Ladina. Angela says, I'm a Disney movie fanatic. Then you must know that those are all perverted old wicked movies, right? Amy says, love you too. Cowboy says, move it. I like to move it. Amanda says, yeah, Angela, I like a lot of them too. I do too, but they are perverted old movies. Don't believe me? Watch Pinocchio and really listen at the bar scene. Really pay attention to what they say. Aaron says, Mulan is my jam, Angela. What's the one where, Moulin Rouge? I like that one. That's not a Disney movie, I don't think, but it's a good movie. Moulin Rouge. I think the same guy that did the Elvis movie did that movie. The last Elvis movie. Aaron says, the Make a Man Out of You song. I don't think I've seen Mulan. Angela says, Aaron Hart. Aaron says, classic before the stupid remakes. Remakes, yeah. Remakes. Yeah, like live action, The Lion King, where they remade it shot for shot, only with less convincing animation, but live action looking. They took the life out of it because when you do something in live action, it hits that uncanny valley and it looks weird. I mean, it looks real, but your brain says that's a lion and lions don't talk, right? So if it's a cartoon, you can get away with it. But if it's real life, it looks weird. And that's what they did. They made real life looking weird cartoons that have no life. They did the same thing with the Little Mermaid and many other rehashes of old ideas. That's because they have run out of ideas. And I know the reason why. Because evil cannot create anything. Remember that. The devil cannot create. He can only mimic and mock. Amy says hidden phallic symbols. Oh, yeah. And many, many other things. There's a lot of stuff. Even the outward idea of the movie, like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Have you ever really thought about that movie? A young prepubescent queen goes out into the wilderness and finds 7 old men, little as they may be, and she moves in with them and keeps their house clean while they, what? Thank her for it. And then she gets date rape drugged and goes to sleep. And the only thing that can bring her out of sleep is for someone to come and molest her against her will. Yeah, that's really primo kid stuff. You ever seen Phantasm? Look into that. All the old Disney movies have some kind of subverted idea behind them that if you're an adult and you watch it, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. I did not notice that when I was a kid, but it's there. And Amanda says, well, we are perverted old people, Jake. Or proverts anyway. Right, you were perverted when you were young. Now you're a provert. Yeah, that's all right. I just pointed it out. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. They did good with How to Train Your Dragon. I haven't seen that one yet. The live action remake, I haven't seen it yet, but I've saw like a few clips of it and it looked good. But again, that's a dragon. You've never seen a dragon, so your brain can accept that. If it were a cat, like the movie Cats, it looks weird. Amy says the original Little Mermaid on VHF. Right on. Which is good. Also, a 13-year-old girl that goes a-hoeing and gives up everything for her dude. Disney had a fascination with young prepubescent girls that wear seashells for breasticles. Aaron says, me too. I'll walk through the house singing part of that world. Right on. Aaron says, embarrassed. Nothing to be embarrassed about. I sing It's a Whole New World all the time. I had my own lyrics, but I am singing a Disney tune. My version is A Whole Nude World. But, you know, I can show you the sky. Angela says Pinocchio is a dark tale about the devil and the Holy Spirit. Yes. And also, watch the bar scene towards the end, where they talk about Pleasure Island and how they trick little boys to go to Pleasure Island, and what they do there is a secret, but they don't come back as little boys. That's in Pinocchio. Pleasure Island is where Epstein lives. That's always been a thing. Epstein is just a character that they created to blame things on, but Pleasure Island, that idea, has been around forever. Evil works throughout the world, it always has. And no matter what generation or era you find yourself in, there's somebody there doing that job. Epstein is just the current iteration of that. Angela says, did the devil make Eve create? No. The devil had sex with Eve and she got pregnant. I guess you could say that they created a baby, but that's not creating something. That's using something that's already created. God created people with the ability to make babies. The devil didn't do that. He just got her pregnant. Amy says, no, Angel, the devil tempted Eve. He did a little more than tempt, but yeah. That's not creating anything. Aaron says Aladdin was awful. Really? I loved Aladdin. Or are you talking about the remake? Yeah, with Will Smith? Yeah, that was awful. Yeah, the original, they should have left it alone. First of all, Nobody can replace Robin Williams as the genie. There's just nobody that can do that job. That was a one of a kind, right? You got to you just take the character out. There's no point in even trying to replace that. Second of all, Will Smith, really? Ladina says, they really are perverted. Yes, they are. A lot more adult quips than you realize. I think the only live action Disney I saw was Cinderella, and it sucked. I didn't see the live action Cinderella. And I didn't see the remake of Beauty and the Beast either. She was trafficked, says Aaron. Ladina says perverted, not prevented. I got you. I knew what you were saying. But they really are. But that seems to be the way cartoons were back in the day. You go look at any of them. I mean, just think about Winnie the Pooh and think about what you're looking at. The themes that are there as an adult. Just think about it. Everybody comes to the pothead. And each one of them have individual problems, like Tigger, who's clearly methed out of his mind. And Piglet, who's clearly on methadone or something. You know, and Eeyore, really? Come on, man. That guy's into heroin or something. And they come to the pothead, who has a dealer named Christopher Robbins. Look at Scooby-Doo. 2 potheads, 2 lesbians, and a drug dealer named Fred. Hang on, my chat jumped. Amanda says, I'm glad you're not saying anything is wrong with it because I learned from you, LOL. What are you trying to say? No, there's nothing wrong with it. Intent is everything. The whole idea, if you're talking about lust or sex or anything like that, the whole idea, first of all, is to procreate. Second of all, is to appreciate. Remember, God created you. He knew what he was doing when he designed you. All of your little bells and whistles, he put those there. That's not an accident. So there's a reason for that to be there, and it isn't just to tempt you and to make you do bad things. No, it's the icing on the cake. So it's all about intent. Amy says the first original pornographic scene is detailed in Genesis, but in symbolism. I did not realize that until I heard Jake reading on it. A lot of people don't realize that, and which is why this channel exists. My goal is to illustrate the Bible in the best way that I can and to untangle all of the traditions of men that have cobbled it up and caused many people to become atheists because it makes it confusing. If you know the real story, it's much deeper and darker, but also much more simple and makes sense. This is how the world works. It always has. And hopefully that pulls more people towards God and takes them out of the atheist column. Aaron says, Jake knows about the tall man. Aaron says, they kept it like the original, and it's insanely good. Which one is that now? Yeah. The How to Train a Dragon. Yeah, I want to see that because the cartoon was pretty good. Amy says, I like to move it stuck in my head now. Thanks a lot. It's a good song. Simple but good. Aaron says, watching Amy move it. Amy says, there's a conspiracy going around about Disney and the 33 Club. That's not a conspiracy. That's an actual place. I've actually seen the door. It's the 33 Club. You're mixing up two different ideas, one about the Masonic Lodge and one about the 33 Club from Disney. Basically, it's a secret club for insanely rich people. It costs like $10,000 a year just to be a member there. It might be more than that. I can't remember now, but it's ridiculous. And you go there and you have dinner, and they do shows that you don't get to see out in public, and they're more risque, like what do you call that when you go like to New Orleans and the girls are burlesque. They do burlesque in there, and they have an open bar, and all the movie stars hang out there, and rich people. And it's just something that rich people do. When you get that rich, there's only a few things you can do. You know, you can do pretty much anything in the world, but it becomes more and more difficult to find things that you can do uniquely that everybody else can't do, right? So they invent things like the 33 Club. It's very exclusive. It's a very small group of people, and you can unwind and be yourself, and you don't have to be famous, you know, because everybody there is famous. And they have perks. That's all that is. Angela says, what is that, Amy? The 33 Club. Aaron says, who was the devil's baby? Cain. Cain was the devil's baby. Amy says, Cain. And his children spawned the Kenites in the Bible. And way ahead in Jesus' time, when he's talking to the Pharisees and the Sadducees in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and he says, "O generation of vipers, you are of your father the devil." He is identifying a group of people as Kenites. If you go do a little research, you'll find out that's who they are, the Kenites. And that's Kenites, which is descendants of Cain, Kaine. The reason they don't call them Cainites is because Canaan, and you'd get it confused. Cainites, Canaanites. That's why. Anyway, they're called Kenites in the Bible, and that's what Jesus is calling them correctly. He's telling them, you are the generation spawned from the devil, which is correct. That's who they are. And that's why they're in the situation they're in. You won't hear that at Sunday school, by the way. Amanda says, Cain, Aaron. That's the devil's son. Angela says, Aaron Cain and his twin sister. I don't think he had a twin sister. He did have a twin brother, though. His name was Abel. Amy says, Angel, supposedly with craft and the devil worship, with witchcraft and the devil worship, child sacrifice. What? Witchcraft and devil worship, child sacrifice. Yeah, that's the worship of Moloch. That's what they did when they passed the children through fire. Things like that. They would sacrifice their children to Moloch. That's basically what they're doing nowadays in cities all over the world, mostly in this country, Planned Parenthood and all that sort of thing. It's just another facade for the same act. Parents sacrificing the children for the sake of the parents. Aaron says, came walking around like you know who my dad is. Jesus, do you know mine? Cain. Yep, pretty much. Amanda says it was Cain and Abel. Cain is Satan's, Abel is Adam's. Correct. That is a condition called parthenogenesis, which is not very common, but it does happen. You can ask a doctor about that. Dogs do it all the time, but their gene pool is very small, And when our gene pool was perfect back in the first iteration of mankind in the Garden of Eden, it was more likely to happen because there's a lot less junk in the DNA. Now, if copy after copy after copy after copy after copy down the line to us, it doesn't happen so often anymore. But in those days, lots of things were possible that are not today. And in this case, she got pregnant by 2 sires at the same time. And that's called paternal twins. This is a condition that does happen to this day. And Cain and Abel were born. Cain's father was Adam. Cain was not listed in Adam's genealogy because he died before he had children, which means he doesn't go into the genealogy. Cain was also not listed in Adam's genealogy because he was not Adam's son. Hope that helps. Angela says, why do they call it 33 Club? Probably because 34 was taken. I don't know. I'm sure that it has some significance. 33 is a third of 100. It also has significance in mysticism and gematria. It's also precisely how many angels fell. I don't know why they call it that, but they do. Aaron says, Cain didn't have a twin sister that I remember. I thought he had a brother. He did. And he did not have a twin sister. He did have sisters, but they were half sisters. So they wouldn't have been twins. Ladina says, Eeyore is even losing body parts. Scooby-Doo was my favorite, though. Right? A dude so tweaked out that he thinks his dog is talking to him all the time. And he perpetually has the munchies. I wonder what that's all about. Debbie says, and along with cartoons, we had songs like Puff the Magic Dragon, Live by the Sea. Yep. Amanda says, it was Cain and Abel who were twins. Correct. They were paternal twins. And in the Bible, it says that she bore a son, and then again, she bore another son, which means at the same time. So that's how I know they were twins. Cain was born first, so he was slightly older than Abel, which would have made him the heir to Adam's throne, or to Adam's wealth, or whatever. Which is why, at the age of accountability, when they brought their offering to God, Abel brought the best of everything that he had, his first fruits. Cain brought some veggies and whatnot, and God didn't like it. He didn't appreciate it. Abel brought the fatted calf, which is what you sacrifice. Abel did not. He brought plants. Plants are not alive. They don't live. They wither when they die. They don't die. They wither, and they can be regrown. But biblically speaking, they don't have the breath of life. They are not a living organism, biblically speaking, which means they don't work as a sacrifice because blood is what covers sin, right? So when Abel brought his sacrifice, God accepted it. When Cain brought his sacrifice, God rejected it. Cain, being jealous of his brother, picked up a rock and hit him in the back of the head and killed him. That sealed Cain's fate. Then God came back saying, Cain, where's thy brother? He says, am I my brother's keeper? There sits in the what do you call it? For lack of a better word, the hero's journey. It's a tale old as time, but it's true, which is why it makes sense. So Cain was marked by God. In other words, he was hidden, because if he was found out, he would have been slaughtered immediately, because people didn't like when people caused God to hate them. You know, it was a big thing when you got God against you. So Cain was put into hiding, and he went on and had a family of his own, and they were city builders. That's what they did for a living. Abel, unfortunately, he came to an end. But that's why it took so long to get to Jesus, because you had to go through Seth. It was intended to go through Abel. It didn't work that way, so Adam had a third son, Seth, and through him came the lineage that would lead to Jesus, the Adamic bloodline. There you go. Hope that helps. I'm just pulling all that off the top of my head, so if it sounded a little disjointed, that's why. Amy says, Angel, I don't know. You'll have to go down the rabbit hole yourself. Well, allow me to guide you down that rabbit hole. I'm pretty good at that sort of thing. Amanda says, yes, Ladina, Scooby-Doo, and Winnie the Pooh were my favorites. Amy says, I love Puff the Magic Dragon. Aaron says, I love Pooh still. Don't like Scooby-Doo at all. Really? Why not? I love anything detective-like. My favorite is Sherlock Holmes. Angela says, I didn't think Cain and Abel were twins. They were with each other, but they each had twin sisters. Not true. That's not biblical at all. Cain killed Abel over Abel being given Cain's twin as a wife, I thought. No, I don't know where you got that from. That's not biblical at all. They did not marry their sisters, although it wouldn't have been a sin to do so at that time because the law hadn't been written yet. And also, there's no junk in the DNA, so retardation wasn't likely. The reason that incest is bad is because the offspring will have defects and they will not be good because they only got 50% of DNA. And there's not enough extra DNA to carry the bloodline and make a healthy child. So that's why it's bad. But at that time, that had not been set as a precedent, so it would not have been a sin for them to marry their sisters. But there were other people in the world, and they could have pulled a wife from anywhere. They didn't have to marry their sisters. And Cain and Abel were born at the same time. There were no sisters at that time. Sisters came later. So wherever you got that from, take that book and throw it out the window and never look at it again because it'll confuse you. Amanda says, Club 33 is named after its original location at 33 Royal Street in Disneyland's New Orleans Square. While some speculation exists about other possible origins, such as the number of original Disneyland sponsors or a connection to Walt Disney's Masonic affiliations. Well, there you go. But also, its address is 33. Amy says, Winnie the Pooh and Attila the Hun have the same middle name, the. Also, Jimmy the Fish and Johnny the Squirrel. Ladina says, isn't it because there are 33 levels of Masons? There are 32 levels of Masonry. The 33rd level is not Masonic, although it is a club that Masons are affiliated with. Aaron says, I did like when Christopher Robin forgot Pooh and they took him back. I like the never-ending story. That's a good story. Amy says, that's right. 33 and a third was a Harry Potter thing, a train landing. Now you got it. Aaron says, I'd sit and watch that movie now. The Never-Ending Story, it's a good movie. If you like The Never-Ending Story, have you seen Legend with Tom Cruise? That's also a good movie. Sort of the same vein. Amy says, I cried when the horse died, Aaron. And the horse got stuck in the mud. Yep. Aaron says, R-Tracks. And Aaron says, me too. But at the end, you see him. Amy says, I want a luck dragon. Aaron says, me too. Amy says, message retracted. I can't read it if you retract it. April says, aw. Hang on, my chat jumped again. Aaron says, Falcor is dope. Ladina says, Amy, it's platform 9 3/4. Amy says, my comment posted twice. I deleted one. Gotcha. And I don't watch Harry Potter, obviously. I never could get into it. I watched the first one and I was like, it just wasn't my thing. Maybe I outgrew that sort of thing. I don't know. Amanda says, me either, Amy. I've never seen Harry Potter or Star Wars. Well, that's just sacrilegious. You got to fix that. At least watch the first 3 movies. You don't have to watch all the prequels and sequels. But you got to see Star Wars. And Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Amy says, I think I watched the first movie and parts of the others. Aaron says, I just watched Star Wars at 43, Amanda. I wasn't impressed. Well, it's a thing. You have to be into sci-fi to appreciate what it is. But more than that, you have to be into movies to appreciate what it is. I am a huge movie fanatic. I love movies. But I don't just watch movies for the sake of watching movies. I'm into how they're made and how they're written and the details of what goes into a shot composition and all that stuff. So when I watch a movie, I'm looking at more than just the movie. I'm looking at how it's done and who did it and the stories behind those things and, big time everything. Star Wars changed the game. When that movie was created, nobody had ever seen anything like that. You have to understand that. If you want a comparison, go watch Buck Rogers in the 23rd century or Buckaroo Banzai and understand that that was the level of science fiction before Star Wars. And then go watch Star Wars and then you'll understand that no movie ever did anything like what you see, which is commonplace nowadays. So at 43 and you watch Star Wars and aren't impressed, it's because you've seen other movies, right? Try to take that out of your head, all the other movies that you've seen that's commonplace, which all learned how to do what they do because of Star Wars. And try to imagine a time where there's no Jurassic Park. There's no Star Trek, the motion picture. There's no Mission Impossible. There's no The Matrix. There's no Jurassic Park. I said that one. None of that. None of the big milestone movies that exist now. None of that existed. And then watch it. And then you'll understand why it's so impressive. Also, know that all those big tentpole movies all used Industrial Light and Magic, which is the company created to make Star Wars. They all use that technology to make those movies. So they're standing on Star Wars' shoulders to start with. And they use techniques like Dykstra film, where you have motion capture cameras. Look at Avatar. Avatar would not exist if Star Wars wasn't there because they used motion capture to do that. Or King Kong. Or Planet of the Apes, the newer ones. None of those things would exist without Star Wars. Amy says, I watched the first 3 Star Wars movies. You kind of have to if you're a movie buff, because that's movie history. All movies beyond Star Wars are because of Star Wars. They changed the game. You watch any movie prior to Star Wars, it's not even the same sport, let alone the same ballpark. Amanda says, it's never got my attention. Well, you're a girl, and not all girls are into sci-fi. It's a uniquely male thing, but there are some girls, especially nowadays, that are into it. And you like Star Trek, so if you gave it a chance, you probably would love it. The problem is how you're thinking about it going into it. You're not open-minded. You're not allowing yourself to experience the movie for what it is. And if you'll do that, you'll probably love it. You loved Star Trek. You didn't think you'd like that. And every time you close your mind off to something because I don't like that, You're robbing yourself of an experience that you could have. And Amy says, Aaron, it was before CGI. Right. All of the things that happen in Star Wars is in-camera effects. There is no CGI going on. That's all done with model makers and puppeteers and miniatures and matte paintings and things like that. A lot of techniques go into making something look real. And by the way, just for the sake of saying so, puppets look like puppets, but I'll take that over CGI any day of the week. Why do you ask? Well, you take Yoda, the character Yoda, and go watch the original Return of the Jedi and watch Yoda's performance and know how you're drawn into that and how that scene feels and how you believe the character. And then go watch the prequel Star Wars Phantom Menace and watch the CGI Yoda flip all over the place in a lightsaber battle and watch the experience that you have with that character and compare the two. It's night and day. That looks like a cartoon. This, although it looks like a puppet, you're allowed to buy into it. You're allowed to suspend your disbelief and buy into the character. Watch a movie like The Labyrinth or The Dark Crystal and know that you're watching puppets. There are people puppeting those things, but you can suspend your disbelief and buy that as a character. When it's done with CGI, it loses its humanity. It loses its realism. There's something about a puppet. I'll take that any day of the week. It's quirky, it's kooky, but I love it. It's something I appreciate. I don't like CGI. I think that ruined movies. Amanda says, I even saw the Star Wars show at Disney and could care less. Well, that's not the same thing. First of all, Disney's ripping off everything. Second of all, they don't know how to do Star Wars. April says, LOL. Oh, I like Pete's Dragon. Yeah, Pete's Dragon was a good cartoon. From the 70s, I think, or 60s even. Aaron says, I was some of the new ones too. Just don't like the story and space stuff. Right. Well, not everybody's into sci-fi. I understand that. Or fantasy. Amy says, Star Trek rules. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Aaron says, but I like Star Trek. Yes. And the reason you like Star Trek is because of the writing. Some of the best storytelling ever. And also, it's not really sci-fi. It takes place in space. But mostly it's a character study. Mostly it's about the people. It's not about space battles and aliens and things like that. There are aliens, but that's because they're out in space, in another world. But it's about the characters, and that's why it's good. You could do a good Star Trek in a room with two dudes and never see space or the outside of a spaceship, and it would be good Star Trek. Amanda says, yes, Amy, the older Star Trek. Absolutely. Definitely original series for me. The new Star Trek is garbage. It really is. Starting at about 2009 onwards, anything Star Trek made from 2009 onwards is garbage. And the further away from 2009 it gets, the worse it gets. Amanda says the new stuff is garbage. It really is. Amy says, darn it. YouTube hates me tonight. Well, don't let it push you around, Amy. Aaron says, facts, Amy. The Next Generation was what I watched and grew up on. As did I. But I'm an original series fan. I love it way better than the Next Generation. But I kind of grew up during that period of time when Generations was on. Aaron says, did you guys see Freddie finally getting his star? Freddie, you mean Freddie Krueger or Freddie Mercury? Or Freddie Prince? Or Freddie Got Fingered? or Freddy, or Frederick von Beethoven. Amanda said, I had never seen Star Trek till Jake and I got together, and we binge watched it together for months until I moved here. And then he tried me on the new crap, and I was like, nope, LOL. It's a waste. Another thing you haven't learned, sometimes it's good to watch movies you don't like for that reason. There's something to be appreciated about movies you dislike too. It's called hate watching. You haven't learned how to do that yet. And the new Star Trek is ripe with hateable things. Aaron says, Next Generation with Data and Worf is good. Data is the best, says Amanda. And he's funny, says Aaron. Yeah, it was a great show. I hate that it died. It didn't die. They killed it. There's a difference. They ruined it. The new people that inherited that stuff, they do not know how to make sci-fi. They do not know how to make Star Trek, and they shouldn't. Amanda says, definitely, Aaron. And Aaron says, but when he fights, he is very cool. You should see Spock get angry. Angela says, okay. Thank you for the info on Cain and Abel. My pleasure. Angela says, honestly, I wouldn't have been one book. It wouldn't have been one book. My own interpretation of many sources. Gotcha. Well, mine's not an interpretation. That's literally what the record says. And I'll gladly walk you through any of that stuff if you wish. Amy says, finished my time sheet, putting my keys away, and finally sitting down. Kick them feet up, baby girl. Get some relaxing in. Aaron says, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Anybody remember that show? Or Bill Nye, the stupid guy? I know who Bill Nye is. I don't like Bill Nye. Bill Nye is an engineer to start with. He is not a scientist. And he's an actor. Amy says, I love the movie Legend. It's a good movie. If you haven't seen Legend, Aaron, go get it and watch it. It's a great movie. Amanda says, yes, Aaron. Where'd it go? 10:39. Thank you. Ladina says, I loved Legend. I never saw Never Ending Story. Oh, you need to see that, Ladina. It's a good movie. Aaron says, I used to sing that whole song and dance and then watch the show. Yeah, I like Carmen Sandiego. Amy says, oh, Ladina, it's awesome. It is. Cowboys 8 Pound says, Legend was a great movie. Yes, it was. Aaron says, what's Legend? It's a Tom Cruise movie, but it's not the Tom Cruise you know. It's a young man aspiring to be a certain kind of actor. It's his first big movie role, and it's quite good. And it's not a Tom Cruise movie, but Tom Cruise is in the movie. Angela says, I had Captain Kangaroo, Speed Racer, and the Monkeys, and the Banana Splits. Captain Kangaroo. I was watching that when I was a baby. Amanda says, yes, Cowboys. And Ladina says, but I do know who Falcor is. I think everyone does. Angela says, oh, and Zoom. I don't know what Zoom is. Ladina says, Falcor. Right. Alvin and the Chipmunks and DuckTales, says Aaron. Now you're talking. Darkwing Duck. That's my jam. Amanda says, yes, Aaron and Garfield too. Linda Davis says, I'm falling asleep. I love you all. Good night. Linda, God bless you, sweetie. Good night, and we'll see you Friday. Rest easy. April says, hi, Cowboys. Good to see you, love. Aaron, LOL, heart. Aaron says, sorry, I can't do Tom Cruise. This face bothers me. Yeah, I understand, but he was young. And trust me, it's a good movie. I wouldn't recommend it if it wasn't. Amanda says, good night, Linda Hunt. Angela says, dang, I'm old. I know I am too. Cowboy says, as a teen, we got free Disneyland passes from my friend's mother, and we feared the underground there. Yeah, there's an actual city under Disneyland. I had a guitar player that was a long-time worker of Disneyland. He worked there for like 30 years, and he had a gold card, and he could get into anything for free. And he'd take me or give me his card, let me go. And you can get into the underground city there, too, where all the employees live and work. They go down there, and there's shopping malls down there and restaurants, and just there's a whole city underneath Disney World that the public doesn't know about. Amanda says, LOL, Aaron. Aaron says, bye, Linda. Amy says, good night, Linda. April says, good night, Linda, lovely. God bless. Oh, Lord, it's almost 11 o'clock. I didn't even realize an hour had passed. I've been enjoying this voice. About to wear it out, and I just got it back. Cowboy says, good night, Linda. Aaron says, now Lord of the Rings is crazy. Lord of the Rings was a good movie. It got its ideas from the movie Legend, which is why I recommended it to you. In fact, a lot of movies kind of came from the movie Legend or had that in mind when it was made. Amanda says, I grew up 40 miles from Disney World, and my family always had passes to all the parks, so we were there a lot. Not impressed, except at Christmas time. It's absolutely beautiful there. I only went once, and I rode the E.T. ride, and that's it. That's all I remember. Oh, and the fireworks over the castle, and a lot of walking, which I did not care for. Oh, and we went up in a Space Mountain. That one. I went to Disneyland once, or Disney World once, and I went to Epcot Center once. I don't remember much about that at all. Ladina says, I love the original Star Wars, but there are too many to watch now, just like Marvel. I know, right? This is ridiculous. And they get worse and worse and worse and worse as they go. Aaron says, I'll watch all of those. Debbie says, reading the Martian Chronicles in high school started me on sci-fi. Right on. I'm a big sci-fi nerd. I love anything in space. Amy says, Linda and Ladina, Amanda, April, Amy, Aaron, Angel. April says, I've seen them all. Have you? All of them? Aaron says, did you know it was thrown away and his wife pulled Star Wars out of the trash and sent it in? I do not know that. Aaron says, so it was like what Matrix was in the 90s. No, the Matrix exists because of Star Wars. There would be no Matrix without Star Wars. Star Wars inspired all of those movie makers to make things like the Matrix. But yes, it was groundbreaking. And like the Matrix, it created technology that did not exist to make that movie. And the Matrix did the same thing. They created like bullet time and a couple of other things that they did that did not exist prior to the Matrix so that they could capture that and make that movie. And then movies after that all copied it, just like with Star Wars. So, yeah. The difference being Star Wars was the first one that all the other ones were inspired by. But like that movie, it was groundbreaking, yes. Amy says, Gene Roddenberry, he wrote Star Trek books. He wrote some of them. There's a lot of people that write Star Trek books. But he did write a few of them. I think he penned the motion picture book. And I'm trying to think if there's any series that he did, but I'm not sure. His name is on all of them, but he didn't write them. But he did create the idea of Star Trek. He did do that. But there was a lot of people involved. He just took credit for it all. Aaron says Princess Leia is fine. I'll give you that. Oh, yeah. That was peak Princess Leia back then. That little outfit. Good gracious. Angela says, I saw Star Wars when I was 12. Saturday morning matinee after Friday night roller skating. Every weekend, my mom partied. Right on. That's how you do it. Amy says, Princess Leia in the gold bikini? Oh, yes. Colloquially known as the slave girl outfit, which today people have a problem with. I say if it gets that girl in a bikini like that, call it whatever you want to. Amy says, that's in the third movie, Aaron. Is it the third one? I thought it was the second one. You might be right about that. It's been a while since I've seen it, too. And Debbie says, Aaron, need a tissue. Need a box of tissues for that one. Every boy in America. Amy says, LOL, Debbie. Aaron says, I like the Daft Mall one. Daft Mall one. Daft Mall. Darth Maul. You're talking about it's the first prequel. Something Menace. I said it a minute ago and now it slipped my mind. Star Wars 1. I can't think of what it is, but yeah, Darth Maul, the red guy with the spiky hair. Menace. I can't remember what it's called. For some reason, The Force Awakens is stuck in my head, and that's like the 9th one. The one you're talking about is the 4th one. Something Menace. Phantom Menace. Thank you. The Phantom Menace. Yep. Darth Maul. Darth Maul. Maul. Aaron says, not yet, Debbie. I got stamina. Right on. Got to wait on the napkins a little while. Amy says, Gene Roddenberry wrote Star Trek. Sorry, not Star Wars. Right, Star Trek. You're right. Debbie says, anyone remember Bananas and Pajamas? My son loved it. I still remember the theme song. Bananas and Pajamas? I do not remember that. Aaron says, anyway, we might have to queue one up and video watch it. I'm not opposed to that. Dragon Tales. That's good. Angela says Star Trek was about teamwork and trust in others and having each other's backs. Wholesome TV. Right on. It was also about world building. And it was also about authority and capitalism and utopianism. In a lot of ways, Star Trek is a communist TV show because some of those ideals are communist in nature. However, for some reason, a lot of Republicans seem to like Star Trek. It's always made me wonder a little bit. You know, they do away with money, right? But there's a lot of good stuff about the old Star Trek, for sure. Basically, the Enterprise is a stand-in for the United States, and Captain Kirk is a stand-in for we will go to the moon and do the other thing, not because it is easy, because it's hard. What was that guy's name? The president that got shot. John F. Kennedy. He's a stand-in for Kennedy. The new Star Trek, Next Generation, is more utopian than the old Star Trek. The old Star Trek was basically capitalism. The new Star Trek is basically socialism. And then the new Star Trek is basically woke politics, gender politics, and all of that stuff. So it's apropos what they did with it. I just don't like it. Debbie says, all the cartoon talk has that damn song in my head. Right on. My son liked Bananas in Pajamas. Aaron says, what song? Bananas in Pajamas. Everyone says, oh, yeah, I remember that, Amanda, LOL. Amy. Amy says, LOL, Debbie. Debbie says, the banana song. Aaron says, I don't know that one. I don't either. It's probably because we're male. Amy says, Aaron, it's about bananas who wear pajamas. Obviously. But they have attitudes. Aaron says, send me a link. Robert Englund, that's Freddy Krueger. He finally got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Stars. Got it. Aaron says, that star comment. I got it. Aaron says, LOL, Jake, hate watching Medea popped in my head. I hate watched it. Aaron says, Vulcan Death Grip. I've seen the first one. The Vulcan Death Grip. Nerve pinch. You don't die from it, but yeah. April says, I thought Will Smith played in Legend. No. That's I Am Legend. It's a different movie. Amy says, Aaron, I can't send the link. YouTube hates me. Just search for it. Bananas in Pajamas. Aaron says, that's I Am Legend. Right. Amy says, oh yeah, LOL. Amanda says, LOL, Aaron. He did watch Witness Protection, though. You could tell by his expression he hated it, though. So he definitely won't like any of the other ones. I mean, but I'll watch it. I'll give anything a chance. Aaron says, one of my favorites. That's hate watching, Amanda. Well, again, there are reasons to like movies, even if you don't like them. One of my favorite things to do is watch terrible B movies with friends and then shit on the movie the whole time. That's hilarious. It's a great fun. You should try it. Just get a bunch of friends together and get the worst movie you can find and put it on. Get some popcorn and some beer or whatever you guys are into and just sit and shit on the movie the whole time. You'll enjoy it, I promise. Might be some of the best time you ever had. Aaron says, LOL. And Amanda says, yeah, Aaron. And Amy says, drive on while listening. Love y'all listening. Be careful, Amy. Aaron says, reading Rainbow. You know, he was in Star Trek. That's LeVar Burton. He was also in Roots, by the way. He was Kunta Kinte, which was a 6-movie miniseries that was filmed on CBS, I believe it was. 6 hours long. Very good docudrama. April says, oh, that's cool, Angela. Yep, I work there too. It's amazing. You worked where? Amanda says, I was cracking up during Medea and Jake was giving me the crazy look. LOL. Ladina says, Will Smith is in I Am Legend. Right. Not Legend, which is a Tom Cruise joint. Debbie says, Amy is driving with liquor. That's usually how you get a DWI. Never understood what the I stood for, though. It's L for liquor. B for booze. Aaron says, I needed this. I'm glad. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I needed it, too. April says, oh, smiley face. Amy says, driving while listening. Aaron says, April, you were being bad over there. Or are you being bad over there? And Debbie says, need a tissue now, Aaron? Your stamina now is spent. A tissue, a sock, something. Aaron says, not even close. As he throws it over his shoulder and saunters off. April says, Rogue was just too long and boring. Rogue. Rogue One is the name of that movie, and that was actually a very good Star Wars movie. The only problem with that movie is we all know how it ends before we ever start watching it. So all the characters they introduce in that movie, we know how their fate is going to end because they're not in the first movie. And it takes place before the first movie. So that's the problem with prequels. You know how it ends. So there's no point in getting invested in it. That's why it felt long and boring. It's actually a very good Star Wars movie. It's the only one they've made that actually feels like Star Wars. All of the new Star Wars movies are just disjointed garbage with Star Wars stamped on it. It doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie. It's too modern. It's too fast. It doesn't have a story. It doesn't match up with the lore that they created in the first three movies. It's not good. But Rogue One was good. But again, we already know that everybody dies. So why get invested in the movie? Ladina says, Matrix is the future of the Terminator. That's one way to look at it, yeah. Or Terminator is the future of the Terminator. Did you see Dark Fate? Aaron says, I went when MJ was still in Epcot and I saw Captain EO. All right. MJ. Michael Jackson? Or, April says, no, but I want to be, LOL. Aaron says, I dare you. You dare me or what? April says, no, don't dare me. Aaron says, oh, the new Predator finally looks good. Do you think it does? The one where the young Predator is on another planet fighting and he meets the girl from the Aliens movie. You think that looks good? I hadn't seen enough of it to have it convince me yet. I saw the first little teaser that came out. I haven't seen an actual trailer yet. But that little teaser, the Predator looked like Michelle Obama. I can't get that out of my head. They need to fix that. Think I'm wrong, go look. Amanda says, there you go, Aaron. You and April go cause some trouble and be bad. Right on. Aaron says, poke, I'm daring you. April says, Predator was awesome. Yeah, Predator was awesome. That's a great movie. And it's fine right by itself. They did not need to make a sequel or anything else, or the 6 that came after that one. But I understand why they wanted to make a franchise out of it, because The Predator is an awesome movie. Also, Alien and Aliens is awesome movies, but they just took it and ran. How they ended up in the same universe, I don't know. Ladina says, Phantom Menace. Thank you. Cowboys 8 Panel says, is sleepy. I am too. April says, shaking my head, Amanda. Or, no, sorry, shh, Amanda. Aaron says, April is afraid of me. LOL, she runs away. April, you gonna put up with that? Amanda says, LOL, Aaron. April, stop running, slacker. April says, I'm not afraid, LOL. That feels like sexy banter there. Aaron says, the new one they're about to make looks great. It's about time. I know which one you're talking about. I've only seen a teaser, though, and I didn't like what I saw. But I'll give it a shot because I like the Predator franchise. Does that fire burn, says Aaron? April says, Aaron, I don't know anything about you either. Well, I'll vouch for him. He's a good dude. What do you need to know? Aaron says, April, I'll hide. LOL. April says, you just admitted it. Aaron says, I did. Amy says, original Star Trek, boldly go where no man has gone before. New generation, to boldly go where no one has gone before. Right. Capitalism, socialism, wokeism. With the Enterprise stuck in there in the middle somewhere. April says, ugh, Freddy, that was the first scary movie I saw. Dad took us to OMG. I had nightmares, geez. Really? I thought it was funny. Amy says, I'm at the gas station, as you do while driving. Aaron says, pretty soon it'll say, grab your bodysuits and cell phones. Aaron says, April, Freddy never scared me, probably because I grew up and everyone had guns and it was a white guy with a knife hand, LOL. Probably. It was more of a comedy to me than it was a scary movie. The first one might have been a little creepy, but after that it was just comical, you know. Ladina says, Medea Mabel Simmons. Love Medea. Love B movies. I like B movies for sure. I appreciate what that guy has done. Like, he basically bought the movie industry in Atlanta, Georgia, and he brought a bunch of his friends together to make movies there, and they make them in-house. So it's all done in his movie studio with his actors, with his vision, and I appreciate that. That makes him an auteur, and I like that about movie makers. I like movie makers that do their own thing outside of the Hollywood apparatus, and I appreciate that. That being said, I don't care for the Medea movies per se, but I do like low-budget movies. Aaron says, your last name is Simmons. Yep. Amy says, back to driving while listening. And Debbie says, we do that with horror movies. Yes. We yell at the TV. Don't go to the garage alone, you idiot. Yes. I love to watch horror movies too. The old ones. The newer ones are not horror movies. Here's the problem. In 1995, they instituted a policy to make as much money as they could make with a film. So they wanted to advertise them towards families, because if the whole family comes, you make more money. Well, that means that every movie had to be PG or PG-13 at the least. so that the whole family would come. So they started marketing movies to families, making all movies PG. And I'm sorry, there is nothing in the world under the PG umbrella that is scary. You cannot make a scary movie with a PG rating. It can't be done. So scary movies went down the toilet. Now you get The Ring and things like that. You want to watch a scary movie? Come hang out with me for a little while. Let me take you on a 79 to 84 bend and show you some movies that will leave you questioning reality long after the month that you watched it in. Movies that'll make you wake up peeing yourself. Yes, I know what a scary movie looks like. It ain't what's in the theaters today. Amanda says, LOL, I do that now, Debbie. Or I do that too, Debbie. Aaron says, driving while listening, Dragons with Legs. DWL, Dragons with Legs. Yes. Darling Witherlily. Your turn. Aaron said that. Dragons with Legs. Darling Willow Lily. Or Daft Water Lizard. April says, I was like 11. I think my dad always wanted to go see the scary movies. You know, those don't bother me. I just don't like the ones about being possessed. Oh, yeah. Yeah, The Exorcist, even though it doesn't hold up to this day, if you take into account that it was made in 1969 and understand that nothing like that had ever been seen on television before or in the movie theaters, and also consider the subject matter, that is, and it holds up to this day, the scariest movie ever made because of its religious connotation, and I love to watch it. Debbie says, DWL, driving while intoxicated, and Dwaha, driving with a head up ass. April says, exactly, Jake. Right on. Aaron says, we did that with that stupid I Know What You Did Last Summer trash. Right. That's an example of a PG-13 scary movie, or a PG scary movie. You can't make them. And I don't understand why they did that. They shot themselves in the foot. Yes, you make more money if you cater to families. But then you kill creativity because there are niche audiences all over the place. And you won't get that money if you don't make things that they like, right? A niche audience. For example, Star Trek will never be a billion-dollar industry. It is a niche audience. Only high-brow, high-minded, nerd-like people with a certain pedigree of intellect is going to like Star Trek. You can't sell that to the masses. They won't buy it. Average person doesn't care about Star Trek. It's the certain type of person with a certain type of intellect that watches that show. And it's always a moneymaker. It will always be a multi-million-dollar franchise if you make Star Trek. But the minute you start trying to turn it into something else like they've been doing, trying to make it more Star Wars-like, you ruin it and it goes down the drain. And now they're about to go out of business because they don't understand that Star Trek is a niche audience. Horror movies is a niche audience. You cannot sell that to the masses. And because of that, we don't get movies like we used to get in the 80s anymore. They don't make them anymore. Strange movies like the Full Moon Theater. Full Moon Entertainment. The Doll Man series, or Trancers, or I can't think of Dr. Mordreau, things like that. These are really crappy B movies, but they're a certain audience that likes that type of movie, and they always sell. The Misty Monday movies, things like that, things that you don't get to see in the theaters. But there's no place for that anymore because they ruined it. You just have to know what to look for, I guess. Aaron says, Roots was Alex Haley's ancestor story. Yep. Aaron says, The Exorcist is nuts. Yes. April says, I agree. Aaron says, the new one's not so much. No, I've seen the newer versions of The Exorcist. It's not the same thing. They try to make it too big, too much CGI, too much. The whole thing is it's psychological. It doesn't even matter if you see the demon. What matters is what you're thinking while you see the demon. Ladina says, Predator and Alien was pretty good. I like how Predator hunted the aliens. Have you seen the Predator, the first Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger? That's where it started. Go watch that movie. Aaron says they make a new one, or they're making a new one. Are they? It's part 2 to Alien versus Predator. The trailer is out, and it looks good. I'll check it out. April says, yep, I think it's funny now, but good Lord, Freddy and Jason is comical, and all the Halloween movies, Mike Myers, LOL. When you watch him now, it's so different how they make horror movies now. Come on. Right. Well, now it's all about blood and gore and shock and jump scares. For some reason, somebody thought a jump scare was cool, and now it's in every movie in that genre all the time. Boom. It's not even scary anymore. They ruined it. Aaron says Myers is pure evil. Yes. Guess what face is on Mike Myers? Do you know? That would be William Shatner from Star Trek. That's his mask on Mike Myers. Ladina says, I'm watching all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and they're amusing. Right on. Or I did watch all the Nightmare movies. Yeah, they're good. They each one have their own thing, and then there's the homophobic one in the middle. A lot of sweaty, greased up young men in that movie. Anyway, April says, yep, that was creepy. The Ring. Ugh, that was not creepy. That was a horrible movie. That didn't make any sense at all. Aaron says, I think I saw one maybe. Right on. Amanda says, I like The Ring. You would. You're not a very movie-inclined person. I assure you, it's a stupid movie. Let me just ask you one question. If you watch a videotape and then because you watched it, you die because you're haunted now, how did the ghost girl get the VHS down into the well to record herself and then get the tape out of the well so that it could be reproduced? Aaron says, I like the Insidious series. I hadn't watched any more than the first one. It didn't grab me. Amanda says, I like the Saw series too. Again, I like the first one. The rest of them are a little over the top. You want a good movie? Watch the movie Cube. You're welcome. It is 7 unknown actors in a square room, 12 by 12 foot square room, and that's the entire movie, and it's fantastic. It starts with 7 unknown actors. It ends with 1. The Cube. You're welcome. April says Final Destination was creepy too. I mean, come on. Amanda says Candyman. That's a good movie. Candyman's a good movie. Wrong Turn, not so much. You want to see a scary movie? Go watch Last House on the Left. Or Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Or Cabin in the Woods. Aaron says the story is Norbert, a pedo that gets burnt and comes back to get the kids in dreams I was like, what the heck? Oh, you're talking about Freddy Krueger. Yeah. No, that's the retconned version. Sinister? Yeah, it's all right. April says, have y'all seen Ash, the Demon Slayer, LOL, OMG, about that creepy book that's sickening, really gross? You're talking about Evil Dead. Ash, the Demon Slayer, is a remake or a continuation of that character. You want to see the movie? Go watch the original Evil Dead. That's a scary movie. That'll freak you out for days. Or Altered States. There's a scary movie that'll freak you out for days. Aaron says, is Jake freezing? Do I look like I'm freezing? Am I freezing? My feet are cold. Why? Aaron says, never heard of it. I know. That's my point. I know a little thing about movies. I'm an auteur of movies, right? If I recommend something to you, it's because it's excellent. Go check them out. I promise you won't be disappointed. Amanda says, no, Aaron. And April says, Amanda, I agree. Creepy. Aaron says, Lights Out was crazy. Ladina says, yep, I like the first Predator. Good. That's a good movie. The second one was good too, but in a different way for different reasons. Ladina says Arnold was good in The Predator. Every Arnold Schwarzenegger movie is good. Hands down. My favorite of them is got to be True Lies and the one on Mars. Can't think of what. Total Recall. Those are my favorite Arnold movies. But all Arnold Schwarzenegger movies are good. April says, I didn't want to watch it after she crept out of the well. I didn't finish all of it. It's retarded. That's not a scary movie. That's a bad remake of a much better Chinese movie. A Japanese movie. But it has Japanese sensibilities. So if you watch Ringo, which is the original, you probably won't get it because it's not English in its origin. But it's much better. Aaron says, the guy that played Predator was really that big. Yeah, he was really that big. As a tall guy, and he played in several movies as a suit actor. He died. Aaron says, April, watch it. The Ring story is sad. Really? You like The Ring? I think I just lost a little bit of respect for you. No, I'm just kidding. Ladina says, she burned the tape with her mind. The cabin was built on top of the well. But how did she get it out of the well? She's dead. And who pressed play on the recorder? How did it work in the well? Where did she plug it in at? How did the battery last long enough for her to make the movie and get it out and make copies? I have questions. April says, oh, that's sad. And no, thank you. Aaron says, watch Ring 2. It shows what they did to her. You will cry. I will not. Debbie says, I like psychological thrillers. Yes. Character studies always suck me in. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. Real scary movies may not even show you the monster. That's the beauty. Watch anything Alfred Hitchcock. You'll understand. Watch Rosemary's Baby. You want a real scary movie? Watch Rosemary's Baby. Ladina says, but Army of Darkness is hysterical. Yes, but it's that's not Evil Dead. That's Evil Dead when you got way more money than you need. Evil Dead was on a shoestring budget by a first-time movie maker with a bunch of passionate actors in the woods over a couple of weekends, and it's great. Anything after that is a remake or rehash of the ideas they had to start with. But there's charm in the low-budget version. When you got a bunch of money and can do whatever you want to do, you lose a little bit of that passion. You just throw money at it. It's not the same thing. You want to watch Evil Dead. That's the movie that'll get you thinking. Army of Darkness is good, but it's not Evil Dead. But getting back to what Debbie said, she's absolutely right. Psychological thriller, that's what you want. You want it to be in your mind. Nothing can be put on film that is scarier than what's already in your head. Nothing. They can't make a scarier movie than you can imagine. So if you find somebody that knows how to tickle that imagination and not give it away with all the guts and blood and gore and jump scares and monster suits, give you just enough information to get you thinking about it, that's a terrifying movie. Total suspension of disbelief. You allow yourself to be scared. Aaron says they didn't want her and threw her in the well, and the ring was what she saw looking at the sun through the lid of the well, and she died down there reaching for help. It was about abuse that made her. I understand. I did see the movie. I'm just telling you, it's a garbage movie. It could have been good. It had good bones, but it's PG-13, and there's nothing scary under PG-13. If they'd have made it rated R and dove into why she was in the well and showed that, yeah, that'd be good. Aaron says, yeah, Debbie, I agree. And Aaron says, it'll make you feel sorry for her. Probably. Debbie says, I seen Rosemary's Baby. Not scary till you start realizing what they are not showing and also what it means. That's what's scary. They're bringing the Antichrist into the world. When you see that, that's when it becomes scary. April says, much love, y'all. Sweet dreams. God bless. See you on the next one. Hearts and smiley faces. I love you too, sweetie. I'm about to go myself. Aaron says, see, April. And Amanda says, good night, April. And I'm at the bottom of the chat. So good night, everybody. I love you. Thank you for the wonderful movie talk. I've enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I hope you're thinking about seeing some new movies. Go dig through the collection. See what you can come up with. Come back and tell me some movies I might have missed. You won't, but it's fun to try. And let's see what happens. All right, Ladina says, I watched 10 all. I won't watch the new remake ones. 10 all? What are you talking about? What are we talking about? Are you talking about Star Wars? I watched them all. I won't watch the new remake ones, though. I don't know what you're talking about. Which ones? Amanda says, night all. See you Friday night. Much love, heart. Which ones, Ladina? The mom did want her, but the mom realized she was evil, Ladina says. You must be talking about the Ring or Rosemary's Baby, one or the other. And Debbie says, good night, y'all. Or good night, all y'all. Good night, Debbie. And good night, everybody. I love you very much. I've enjoyed the night immensely. Thank you for letting me get my voice back, Lord. Thank y'all for putting up with my squeakiness. God bless and have a great night. Aaron, stay strong, my friend. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.